Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Truuu podcast. This is episode 12. And tonight we'll be talking about mortgages and finance, ego versus soul, and what does physical and mental self-care mean to you. And as always, we've got the Truuu First Lady, Miss Chidi. Miss Chidi Bang Bang.
There you go.
A man who needs no introduction, Mr. Truuu himself, Mr. Ashley. Our favourite girl from the small island, Miss Cher. And of course, myself, DJ Sticky Fingers.
The one and only.
There we go, as long as you know. Now, normally on these topics, I don't normally go first, but Chili's actually forced me to go first and talk about mortgages and finance. So, let's get started. Now, I should apologise. If you hear me talking funny, it's because my adapter broke and I'm echoing, so I can hear myself twice. So forgive me. Yeah? That's my disclaimer. So, I thought we could talk about mortgage and finance because a few lives ago, Milan did mention it, and she said that it's not taught in schools. And I thought, you know what? Something I've been meaning to talk about, and I thought, why not use this platform? And speaking to some of you prior today, I had some questions about mortgages. So I thought, you know what? Let's talk about mortgages. And what I'm going to talk about specifically is Help to Buy. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask and I'll try my best to answer it. Now, if we start off simply, what's a mortgage? Now, the reason I say that is because when I first started banking, I didn't actually know what a mortgage was. You hear the term mortgage, but I didn't know what it actually meant. Like, if you said to me, what is a mortgage? I said, I don't know. In fact, when I had my first interview in a bank, the woman said to me, what do you know about banking? I said, I don't know. Why she employed me, I don't know. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But a mortgage, in its simplest form, is a loan. That's it. Can't simplify it anymore, so that's all it is in its simplest form. We all know what a loan is. People take loans out for cars, holidays, and what have you. That's all that a mortgage is. It's a loan. The only key difference, really, is that it's, instead of you paying for a holiday or paying for a car, a mortgage is for a property. So it's secured against your home. And we call that secured borrowing. Because whereas a personal loan is unsecured, you can buy the car, you don't buy the car, it's up to you. With a mortgage, it's for the purpose of the property, and you don't actually see the money. You don't physically see the money in your bank. It goes from your bank to the person who you're buying the house from. Now, Help to Buy is a tool. So it's a government scheme that allows people to help buy a property. Now, at the moment, the scheme works that the maximum purchase price of the property is £600,000. So if I use an example, a live example, something that Ash asked me today, like you might see new build houses or new build flats. Now with the Help to Buy scheme, the maximum purchase price of the property can be maximum of £600,000. That's going to change next year, but for the moment, that's what it is. That's in England and Wales and Scotland as well, I believe. Now the government scheme says that they will allow you or lend you either up to 20% of the property, if it's outside of London, if it's within London, up to 40%. So to put it in real numbers, if say the flat that you see in, I don't know, Thornton Heath, I don't know why I picked Thornton Heath, let's say Brixton, new build flats in Brixton, let's say that it costs £400,000. The government scheme would say they will lend you up to 40% of the property, which I can't figure that out in my head. That's 160,000. So they'll say they'll lend you 160,000 towards the purchase of that property. And the minimum deposit you have to put in yourself is 5%. So on a flat that's 400,000, 5% would be £20,000. So that's what they're saying. They're saying as a person who's trying to buy the property, you got to put in 20,000, they will lend you 100,000+, and you got to get a mortgage for the rest. So it sounds simple enough, and it really is in some sense. The difficulty comes is how much they're willing to lend you. And this is where people, I think, fall short. So the deposit is one thing. So I said, using this property in Brixton, that's £400,000. Your minimum deposit has to be 20 grand. So that's hard enough in itself. I don't have a spare 20 grand. Do any of you have a spare 20 grand lying around? I think about, I know I'm moving, that means no. Right, so that's where you have 20 grand as the 5% deposit. Next thing is, Help to Buy will say to you, the maximum they will lend you is 4.5 times your salary. So to keep it simple, if your salary is 20 grand, they're saying to you, we will lend you £90,000. That's 4.5 times your salary. Now, if you think about it, if you're on 20 grand and they lend you 90 grand and you want to buy a house that's £400,000, it ain't gonna happen. So in terms of buying property, it's usually better if there's 2 people doing it. Other things to take into consideration is your debts. So they, as I said, they will lend you 4.5 times your salary, but take into consideration what outgoings you have. And it's committed outgoings. So if you got like mobile phone bills, gas, electric, water, whatever, those things I don't really care about because everyone's gonna pay those. But when I say committed expenditure, it's your credit cards, car finance, personal loans. And the reason why I use those as an example, because when I speak to a lot of clients who are doing Help to Buy, I say to them, what outgoings do you have? And a lot of them will have cars and finance, but expect to get a mortgage. Now, you can do so, but your salary has to warrant that. And if you're on 20 grand and your car is £400 a month, you got no chance. And I kind of lost my train of thought there, so that's pretty much it though. Do you guys have any questions? I'll take it by everyone's silence. There's no questions.
No, for me, yeah, it just sounds a bit like daunting. Do you get what I'm saying? Because for me, it just sounds like so many hurdles you've got to jump over. So it's like once you get the 20 grand, yeah, deposit, and they only give you 90 grand because you can only afford 20 grand. Then you got to think of trying to get secure another amount of money in order to actually be able to even pay off, to even get enough money. So what's the point of getting the 20 grand if you can't even get a house worth 90 grand anyway? What are you going to buy for 90 grand?
Well, good question. But that's a sacrifice, I suppose, isn't it? I think where we live in London, especially, we're spoiled. We are spoiled, and things are very expensive as well. So, as I said, we want to live in nice places, but it's
bro,
very
you can buy a
expensive.
caravan for 90 grand, bro. You get what I'm saying? What would you? Is that because if that's the case, in my position, 20 grand, all right, I can get that. I've paid the deposit. I've secured a 90 grand mortgage. What am I going to do with that?
No. So remember, I said if the property's in Brixton, the government scheme would also lend you 40%. So on that £400,000 property, what's 40%? 160,000. So 160,000 that they're going to lend to you, plus your 20 grand savings, you need a mortgage for the difference. See Milan's face. Milan's like, got what?
No, because so the money that they lend you, do you pay that back and your mortgage, or you pay the mortgage back first, then you pay them back, or I don't understand. Or you don't
good
pay
question.
it back?
No, good question. I'm going to write it down. Yeah, hold on. So if you say flat in Brixton, new build flat, right? £400,000.
Yeah.
The minimum deposit you got to put in is 5%, which would be £20,000.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to like write it down. You see it? Like I'm trying to write it down. You see it?
Yeah.
All right. The government scheme would be 160,000.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So the government money, do you need to eventually pay them back?
Yeah. So that 160,000, they will lend to you interest-free for the first 5 years.
Right. So then do you pay that back within the mortgage or separate to the mortgage?
Separate to the mortgage.
Yeah,
you know
after
what? 5
5
years.
So really,
see, actually,
they just want to smash you up.
Well, I actually made a good point. It's sometimes cheaper to have a mortgage than it is to rent.
But not in this circumstance, though, because you're not only paying off a mortgage, you're also paying off a government-backed loan. Yeah, 5 years is not a long time, bro. 5 years is a blink of an eye. By the time you think about it, you're paying back that loan. on top of your
here's
mortgage.
the thing. The idea being, in 5 years' time, your property would have gone up in value, and you take out a new mortgage to repay the loan. Because you think, if you buy a £400,000 flat in Brixton now, what's it going to be
So
worth
that
in
means you
5
would have
years from
been
now?
paying off. Oh yeah, I guess paying off your mortgage for 5. Yeah, but
Imagine that. Imagine
so
Brixton.
you're paying off your mortgage for 5 years. Yeah, paying off this loan for 5 years.
No, you're not paying the loan.
Mortgage your yard and pay
No,
off
you're not paying the loan. You're not paying the loan.
Oh yeah,
You
you're
pay-
not paying the loan. You're
It's
not
£1 a month. For the loan, it's £1 a month for the first 5 years. So as I said, if you use Brixton as an example, a flat that's £400,000 now, how much do you think it's going to be worth in 5 years from now?
$1 million, hopefully.
There you go.
But still, if you're doing that that Help to Buy thing and doing all of this, you're not. I don't think you're necessarily getting that yard to sell it like that. I think you're getting it in hopes to be able to live in it and sustain it and pay off the mortgage and have it.
Exactly.
You know
And you're right. But in 5 years, the property value would have increased. You take out a new mortgage.
But that only matters if you're someone who's thinking, I'm getting this property to sell it and make a profit.
No. Because when you do your mortgage, the value of the property is important as well. So it would have gone up in value, you'd remortgage it, the idea being you take it enough to pay back the Help to Buy loan. The one thing I didn't say though,
you tell your clients, or is that something that you think is actually a practical way of getting on the property ladder? Or is that just a product that you sell because of your job? Or would you actually recommend that to your nephew?
I would. I told my brother to do it. Because at the end of the day, if you only got a property ladder, it's difficult, especially if you live in London. And again, we're spoiled, but it's also very expensive. So we want to live in nice places, innit? We want to live in Brixton. We want to live in Chelsea, wherever. But no matter where you pick, it's so expensive.
Yeah. I don't mind, bro. I'll live out on the outskirts. I don't care.
You say that now, but when you want some jerk chicken at 9 o'clock at night and you got to go far, in fact, nowhere, everywhere's shot.
Yes. There's
no weed man out there.
It's peak, man. You better buy a jerk pad, man. You get me?
Exactly.
Buy a jerk pad and start jerking in the back garden.
So I'm saying, so there are sacrifices to make. And one thing I didn't say though, with the Help to Buy loan, it's an equity share of your property.
Exactly. See? And that's the key point. And then you still have to buy them out after. Money you're spending. Bare money you're spending.
All right, I'm going to use the same fact example, right? So check this. Can you see my screen? Can you see it? So £400,000, yeah, in 2020. In 5 years, how much do you think it'll be worth, roughly, in Brixton?
For the sake of the conversation, we're going to say $1 million.
It won't be that much, man.
5 years, let's hope it. Let's say 600,000 then, yeah.
All right, cool. All right, so 600,000, yeah. So remember, they've given you 160. That's 40%. So when it's worth 600,000, you sort of give them 40%, which would be 20, 30, 40, 240. All right, you'd have to pay them at 240. Can you see it? Does it make sense? You see Milan's face.
Best believe I got a B in maths, but I don't get this. So now I'm paying them back 2 something instead of 1 something.
Yeah. So look, they borrowed you 160,000.
Yeah.
Which is 40% of the property value.
Oh,
yeah?
So because the value's gone up, what I owe goes up.
Yeah. So it's still 40%.
Like, stay living at home with your mum, innit? Like,
oh, there's that as well.
You get food on deck, your washing done on deck, everything on deck.
You know what? Yeah, this scheme gets too much entities paid off of you.
But check this.
Entities are getting paid off of you. Like.
What's the difference between You bought it at 400,000. It's gone up by 200 grand.
Yeah, that's not.
You've already made 100 and something grand. You see it?
No, I don't see it, Sticky. I'm confused now.
You're confused, yeah?
All I'm thinking of is all I'm stuck on now is the percentage that I still gotta pay and buy once I've bought all of that. So once I paid off my piece of the mortgage, once I paid off my piece of the loan, I still gotta go to the government and pay them for the rest of the equity that they own of my property.
Yes, but
exactly.
You still made, because remember the house has gone up by.
But the money I made, I gotta pay them. So that even the profit I made, I still gotta give it to them.
Yeah, you're going to give them some of the profit. But you're going to give them some of the profit. It's gone up by 200 grand.
Have I got to pay this off before I die? Because
over 200 grand.
Yeah, you got to do this all before you reach 70, bro.
So I should have started putting down for my mortgage from when I was like 3.
Yeah,
basically.
I missed it.
Mad.
I missed it. I'm gonna take
it's
my
mad.
council.
So what
I'm
is this
here for a couple years, and I'm gonna buy my council house. Easier.
That's the best way, fam. If you got the council house option, yeah, because all of this thing is designed to make your kids be paying off that mortgage to us.
All right, but check this. So the flat was 400,000. It's gone up to 600,000. You've made 120 grand.
Yeah, cool. But you haven't really made anything because you still
made it where? You gotta pay it back. Sticky, stop trying to put a cherry on top. I ain't finished yet.
Look, you bought it at 400. Your deposit was 20. They gave you 160. It's now gone up to 600 grand.
Yeah, but I haven't paid back the money.
You got to give them back 240. They already lent you 160.
Wait,
so it's 80 grand difference. You made 120 grand.
Yeah, but you're sick. But you know what you're not saying? How much equity do they own of the house? How much is the percentage do they own?
Nothing. You just paid them back. You made 120 grand.
No. That's for the mortgage and the loan, yeah? No.
But
so look, I don't know if you can see my screen. Can you see it?
Sticky's like, why did we do this conversation?
I know. No, it's good. It's good. I'd rather you ask. So you see, right? They gave you 160.
Yeah.
Your property went up by 200 grand.
Yeah.
You got to give them back in total 240. So that's the 160 plus 80. It's 240. You made 120 grand in 5 years.
So is this? So I made 120 grand or whatever after I paid off the mortgage and I paid back the loan.
Exactly.
I have that to myself.
You made 120 grand because that's the value of the property now. It's gone up by 200 grand. You got to give them 80.
If you want to sell the house and get 120 grand.
You remortgage it. You can remortgage in 5 years. You'd remortgage. You pay off them. You own the property. That's now yours, 100%. And you made 120 grand in equity.
Yeah.
Cool.
So your house is worth 120 grand more than it was when you was killing yourself to pay it off.
Essentially.
Yeah.
And it's actually worth 200 grand more, but you owe them some money. So your equity now has gone up by 120 grand in 5 years.
Yeah, it sounds good, man. In theory, man. But you see that 5 years? See them 5 years? You're gonna be working like a slave, boy. Yeah.
Not really, you won't be because you're not paying them back anything. You're paying them like £1 a month for 5 years. For £60.
Suppose so.
I see a lot of blank faces, boy. Everyone's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
No, I see that you're trying to sell man a product still. I like it.
Bro, the truth is...
I might shout you, bro. I might shout you.
The truth is I believe in it, but it's hard. It's not easy. Again, where we live, who's got 20 grand spare for deposit? Who can buy a house that's 400 grand?
My nan.
There you go. And how old is your nan?
Old, bro. Old.
There you go. Any questions?
No, I'm not asking you nothing about that no more.
I'm just gonna stay in my house in Cardiff and buy this. It's, you know, it's a lot cheaper.
Exactly. That's the thing. That's about sacrificing it. Like,
Well,
in
if you
London,
lot all want to chip in to buy one house and we all share a room, then I'm down.
the way I see it, it's about it's like legacy and like leaving something for your kids. Like when our grandparents came to England, a lot of them bought property. They didn't even know why. They just bought it, and now they live in places like Battersea and Wandsworth. That's because that's where black people lived, or like Shepherd's Bush. Not because it was desirable, but that's where they moved to, and now the houses are worth ridiculous money. You know what I mean? So legacy. But you want to next topic, yeah?
I hear you still. Read some of the comments.
The next topic was ego versus soul.
Do you want to read some of the comments?
Oh yeah, sorry, man.
You forgot your role already, Sticky.
I know, bro.
You got into your mortgage dealer mode, fam.
I know, bro. And because I'm echoing, it's confusing me as well. And I came off the screen. Do you want to read some of the messages?
No, that's what you do, Sticks. That's what you do. Sticks, just because you did something else today, don't not do what you do, fam. Don't do all of that. Do you get what I'm saying? Don't try to act brand new and that. Yeah, I came with to get me. I showed you about something you didn't know about. So now you don't read the messages. No, don't do that to me, Sticks.
No, I cleared the screen by accident.
Oh, you cleared the screen?
Yeah, by accident.
Sticks, you're fucking up.
I know.
Right, let me read some of the comments. Still, I'm taking over Sticky's dick. What Sticky would do. Get me. Oh, how tight. Oh, look. Hold tight, Henny. Look, I did it as well. See, I'm not used to this. This is not what I do. You get what I'm saying? All right, we're going to have to just move on. Burn your comments right now. Because I accidentally cleared it. It wasn't on purpose.
Chid, you got them on your screen?
I'm not made to be reading comments, bruv. I'm not built for it.
You know what? I'm actually only on one screen this week because...
You know when people say, stay in your lane, yeah? Sticky, stay in your lane.
Oh, I know better.
Thank you. You're veering off right now. Just pull it back a bit.
That's what I'm saying. Not my place, not my role.
No
ego
bro.
versus soul.
Ego versus soul, yo.
Who's kicking that one off?
Well, I feel like the ladies have been very quiet, so I feel like maybe Chidi should start the song because she's vocal when it comes to ego and soul. She's very well versed.
A little bit drunk from last night. Ego versus soul. So ego. We all have ego. There's levels to ego. And I just personally think that ego always comes first, because it's the first thing that people think about. Is as human beings, you know, we worry about what people think of us. We worry about chasing status. We worry about, you know, we tend to look at other people, see what they've got. We want it for ourselves. Ego it's a lot of things. I think a lot of people, especially this Generation Z, my daughter told me it's called. I was like, raw. We lack soul. I think a lot of the things that we do as human beings, they derive from a place of ego. Everyone's competing with each other. Everyone's trying to be better than the next person. Even in decisions that we make, sometimes we know that something is good for us. We choose not to take advice because our ego takes over, plays a big role in our lives. I just think, personally, as human beings, we need to dig deeper, dig to the center of our core, and we need to find soul. We need to make sure that everything that we're doing, or the majority of the things that we're doing, it comes from our heart rather than you know, a place of wanting and needing, and I have to have it, and it has to happen now. I think sometimes if we just fall back and we focus on being present, again, the law of attraction comes into it, and we attract everything that we deserve. Because sometimes your ego will trip you up. Your ego will stop you from having the things that you want. Your ego, you can end up lonely because of your ego. You can end up in a really bad place in your life because of ego. I just think that, you know, it's better to come from a place of soul, and to do that, like I said, you have to really dig deep on that, and you have to listen to your heart rather than your ego.
I agree with that still. I agree with that. I think, coming from like a street environment, or like a hood environment, most people build up an ego, because it's necessary in order to keep yourself safe. You know what I'm saying? Or you get them to gain a certain status in your environment, or to maintain a certain status in your environment. Yeah, that's why a lot of people from where man's from don't really deal with soul and deal with ego mostly. So you know what I'm saying? Obviously, I feel like it's better to deal with soul, but I don't feel like it's always safe to be so open, depending on what kind of people you're dealing with and what kind of environment you come from. You know what I'm saying? Even though I feel like for me, there has been incidences where I could say being more soul than ego has helped in the long run. Do you get what I'm saying? But it's hard to see it in the in the moment. Do you get what I'm saying? Because when I was young, I used to be mean. I used to think fuck with people. And I used to feel bad until I kind of got older, and I thought, maybe in school I used to take the piss or violate some people, or, you know what I'm saying? And I never used to feel bad about it then, because the ego allowed me to feel safe about it, because at least I'm not the one getting violated. Do you get what I'm saying? Like in my day, it was better to be the bully than to be the one being bullied. Do you get what I'm saying? And that's ego, because it kept me safe. Do you get what I'm saying? But then as I'm getting as an adult, when you look back, I'm looking at that raw, like imagine how now I can put myself in someone else's shoes and think how that must have felt. Do you get what I'm saying? So when I've gotten older, I've chosen to not be in certain circumstances where I could have done the same thing I did as a school child. I thought to myself as a teenager that I'm not going to do that. Do you get what I'm saying? Because I already learned when I did it in school that I didn't now it didn't feel good to look back and think how that felt. Do you get what I'm saying? So now as an 18-year-old, I'm not going to be the one to violate my man. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm going to be the one to say, no, allow it. Don't do that. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And it's mad because even recently there was not even a situation, but it's a circumstance where I asked someone for a favor. Do you get me? And it's not like I talk to this person every day. They're not owing me nothing. Do you get what I'm saying? They don't have to do nothing for me. But I've always shown them love, innit? And there's always been a certain respect between me and that individual. So when I asked them for the favor now, the response was more than I could have even expected. You get me? The person was like, yeah, I'll do that for you, no problem. I'll come and you get what I'm saying? And they really came and they really done that for man. And they didn't have to. But that's what I'm saying. That's where the soul connection mattered more than the ego. Do you get what I'm saying? In that circumstance. So I always feel like it's better to lead with love than it is to lead with your ego, because it lasts longer, and it's worth more than money. Do you get what I'm saying? Love is worth more than money, and it lasts longer than money. So when there's no money left in this world, only how much people love you will matter. You get what I'm saying? You ain't gonna be able to buy food, but money will still feed you. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Shit like that. But yeah, that's my little bit.
I love that. Let me read some of the messages. Crystal Ann says, I'm here for this convo. Ego is loud, soul is quiet. Kaiser Souls says, mortgages are easy if you know what you're doing, trust me. Crystal Ann says, expanding or contracting. If you know, you know, says Truuu, learn the system and just cut through to us. Fair enough. There are two separate vibrational frequencies. 3D Earth was an ego-based reality. Shift to new Earth. 5D. Says ego or survival. If you know, you know. Says Truuu. Being your natural, good-natured self can get you in problems. Kaiser Soza says exactly. Artist Substance gives a smiley emoji. Empress Chili. Empress Chili, rather. And Crystal Allen says soul ties. You know what? I like what Ash was saying there. I was just thinking though, is it, what made the change?
What made the change?
Yeah.
If I'm honest, I can in hindsight, I can tell you what made the change. It was the fact that I no longer felt threatened in the same kind of way. So in school, there was a certain need to be respected or to be at a certain level, so you don't fall under a certain kind of, like, you know, the fear of being ridiculed and shit. You know what I'm saying? You'd rather be part of the crew than to be an outsider. You know what I'm saying? So that's what changed. When I was no longer in school and I'm in my ends and I'm with my own friends, there's no longer a fear of not being accepted or being an outsider or being a victim. I didn't have that fear anymore. So for me, I didn't have to be horrible to people to make myself fit in. I could protect people because I already fitted in. Do you get what I'm saying? Well, that's basically what changed for me. I didn't feel the need to impress anybody because I was already part of, like, I was already man them. So I didn't really need to do anything to keep people's respect. I just thought that, yeah, I'm here, innit? You get me? I'm not going to be horrible to people to impress others because I don't need to impress nobody.
Milan, what's your views on this one?
To be honest, all this talk of 3D, 5D, I'm like, I don't even think I'm in the world right now. I'm lost. I'm like, what? So for me, from what Ashley was saying, is ego, no, not ego. What's the other one called?
So
is soul like your conscience? No? Like, is that what it means? Because
in the simplest form, yeah. In the simplest form, yes. But a conscience isn't necessarily good or bad, innit? Soul is basically, yeah. So it's basically that having leading more with how you. So yeah, it's hard to explain it on a foundation level kind of thing. But yeah, conscience is basically what it is. What you're saying is, if you're looking at conscience as a good thing, then yeah.
Right, cool.
So
you
basically dealing with your conscience.
The difference between that and ego, like you said, everybody has an ego. Do you know what I mean? So whether you are, what's the word? Whether you acknowledge it or not, or whether you're aware of it or not, and it's like Chidi said, we're always trying to do better than the other person, and it's not necessarily in like a competitive like way, but if you're here and you can see that people are here and you're like, hold on, I want to be there as well. Do you know what I mean? Then once you get there, you kind of like that and you're like, okay, I can now go ahead of that. So it's not necessarily a bad thing to have an ego, I suppose, because it will help you progress and get you where you want to be. Just don't be a dick about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's cool.
Let me read some of these messages. Artist Substance says, spirit is conscious, soul is your true being. Says, true Ash, I remember in the park when you stuck up for me. I was only like 10. That's from Artist Substance. Kaiser Soul says, yes, Nadia. Artist Substance says, so you don't get victimized. Nadia, who's our very own Welsh princess, says, your ego sees things for what they are. Sorry, your ego sees things for what they're pretending to be, whereas your soul sees things for what they're meant to see. Oh, like that.
Bars.
And Crystalline says, death to ego. And Kaiser Souza says, hey, my sweet sister Nadia, bless ya. Kids, what are you saying?
Me, I'm just saying that. So, never been a conformist. I've always been a non-conformist. So if everyone's going right, I'm going left. And I've always been the type of person, even though I could have easily have chosen ego in my life, but I just think I've always just been a little bit different in that sense, where I've always chosen soul. I think it's because I'm definitely a love child. That from my parents, from conception, all those things. I'm definitely a love child. So love for me is paramount. And I think if we derive from a place of love and we look through the eyes of love, then everything's just a little more beautiful. It's a little bit more easier. Sure, there's definitely going to be some hard times, but you always know that the end result is going to be beautiful because your heart is clean, your conscience is clear, and you know there was no bad mind involved with your progression, because the ultimate goal is to meet and come face to face with your higher self. And as long as you allow ego to take over you and to embody you, then you're never ever gonna, you might come close and then it's like the energy drops because you're not deserving of that if it's coming from a place of ego. If you're sitting there, it's not a thing about, everyone's got their own idea and their own perception of ego. And, a lot of people would be like, oh, look at her, who does she think she is? Or look at him, who does he think he is? But everybody's got their story. Everybody's on their own journey. And I think that that is the one thing that we've got in common, that we're all ultimately on a journey. But if we can embrace each other's journeys, so instead of seeing somebody, when you're seeing your friend or somebody progress, instead of sitting there and thinking like, who the fuck do they think they are? Look at them, really look and think, do you know what? If I look at this from a place of love, like, go you, innit? All right, you might be a little bit ahead of me or you might be whatever, but ultimately I'm going to get there because I'm giving you that congratulations. I'm looking at your progression from a place of love rather than from a place of ego and trying to compete with you and trying to do better than you. Because don't get me wrong, anyone can do better than the next person, but that shit ain't going to last. That shit's going to be temporary because everything in life is temporary, happiness, sadness, everything. But if you allow your ego to take over your soul, then the end result's not going to be good for you. And you're going to watch everybody elevate and you're still going to be down there. And you're going to sit there and think, but why? And it's because you allowed your ego to take over you. Egos are really, like, don't get me wrong, we've all got to have a bit of ego. We do, because it does definitely help. And as Ashley was saying, it does help to protect us at certain stages in our life. But as we get older and as we elevate and we strive to vibrate higher, we've really, really got to look at it with, do you get me? We've got two eyes to see and we've got one eye that sees everything. Do you get me?
I clocked though? Do you know what I clocked, yeah? With these kind of conversations, yeah, there's two ways you can look at it, yeah? Not even two ways you can look at it, but you see there's two eyes you can look at it from, yeah? It's like Christianity. You see, like, if you're not a Christian, Christians will say to you, you won't understand it until you're a believer. Then you'll get the word. Yeah, that's what all Christians say to you if you're not a believer. Yeah, and it's the same with this ego and soul thing. Until you understand it, yeah, you'll never be able to grasp it in the way that you're trying to explain it. Do you get what I'm saying? Because what if I say, how do I identify my soul and my ego? You get what I'm saying? How do I identify it? If I don't know the basis of it, if I don't know the foundation of it, then it's not my. Do you get what I'm saying? It's not me that's creating that for myself because I'm not aware. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, and that is definitely another thing, because like there are a lot of people who are not aware of their ego and they do well. They succeed. You see them doing so
No, but
well.
they are aware of their ego. I think most people are aware of their ego, but I'm saying they're not aware of their soul, most probably, because their ego allows them to act true. You get what I'm trying to say?
But something
But
always
they might not
happens.
understand the importance of it.
But something always guaranteed, yeah, in the human realm, yeah, something always happens and you get an insight to your soul. Everybody has an awakening at some point.
Of course.
It happens to everyone.
But you know what I've clocked here? You know,
Even
that
if it's not-
environment feeds either one of them. So depending on what you do, depending on where you come from, depending on what you're around, yeah, it either feeds your soul or it feeds your ego. You get what I'm trying to say? Like gang shit, gang music, all of that shit, that's ego-driven shit, innit? Like, and that's what most of the man them grew on, innit? Even when we're together, it's all ego-driven, innit? Like, you get what I'm saying? Milan, you would know. You get what I'm saying? You know firsthand. You get me? You get it? Like, when man them are all together, it's all about ego. There's no soul involved. It's all ego. It's all ego-driven. Everyone's trying to look the hardest, be the hardest, chat the hardest, get me, stand the hardest. Whatever it is, drink the hardest, smoke your spit the hardest. Whatever it is, it's all fucking. You get me? And I'm saying that straight because that's what it is. You get me? Man, I tell my niggas straight. That's what I feel when I'm around, man. That's what I feel. Yeah, it just feels all ego-driven. Do you get what I'm saying? And then when you go around, like maybe your family, so I spend bare time. You know me, kids. You know I spend time with my family a lot. Go check my nana. Go. You know what I'm saying? I do that because I want to feel the soul. I want to feel the soul. She's gonna tell me about her mum, her nan, how she grew with no shoes and how she done this and now she's here. And it's triumphant stories man's hearing. But I didn't go there necessarily to hear a triumphant story. But I heard a triumphant story from third world all the way to first world, to owning your yard, to sitting here with your carpet plush and you're telling me don't lean too hard on your pillows and that. You get me? Because they got diamantes in them and you get what I'm trying to say? Like that, but you come from that though. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's the difference between ego and soul, innit? Depending on what you feed. You get me? If you feed the ego, your ego will grow, innit? Because it has to, fam. You get me? You can't be in that environment and not have an ego and not make your ego bigger than the next. It's impossible, bro. Like, even when I'm there for more than an hour, man, I start feeling like, nah, fuck that, man. I can't just be normal and be all this. It doesn't work, fam. You get me? Because someone's going to say something to man that's going to make me feel like I've got to defend myself. You know what I'm saying? So, depending on the environment you put yourself in, depends on what you're feeding, whether you're feeding your ego or your soul.
See what you said there? Depending on the environment that you put yourself in. So therefore, by you saying that, you're acknowledging the fact that ego or soul is a choice.
Yeah, facts. We have to be aware of it, though. I'm not saying I'm not aware of it, but I know majority of maybe the youngsters that I've been talking to, that when I see them and they're like, so I remember you used to see man and you used to punch man up because man weren't at school. Yeah, like that's soul that man was punching you up for. But are they aware of that? They might know that it was a good thing when they're telling me about it, they're laughing about it and we're reminiscing. But do they understand that it's your soul I'm trying to reach? Or do they just think, Ash was just trying to bad man because he wanted man to go to school? But fuck it. You get me?
Do you know what I think, yeah? Your ego and your soul work good together when you're doing things for yourself. If you're pushing your ego for you and yourself and your household, so whatever's going on, if you're doing it for genuine heart of you, your soul and your the other one, they work well. But you see, when your ego and your soul, when your ego is taking over your soul and you're doing it for other people, that's where you go wrong, because you're trying to look like the hardest man or the hardest girl, and you want people to look at you and be like, yeah, this person, and so to have that, it's not a good mix, because it's all gonna come crashing down. Because yeah, you can be at the top of your game and everyone's standing in the park or on the estate or in your flat or your house or whatever, or your back garden will be like, yeah, now this guy's on top right now. Yeah, he ain't gonna be there forever, because he's doing it, or her is doing it to prove a point to other people and to show other people that, yeah, I've got this and I've got that. But you see, when you do it for you and your heart, it's gonna last forever. I got it, guys. I got it.
Let me read some of his messages. So very own Nadia says, love you guys. The soul. She says, my soul sister Chidi, spot on. Artist Substance says, ego can mess up your life. Nadia says, get rid of ego and you will fulfill your life the right way with soul. I'm going to read a couple more, by the way. I'm going to come off to share. Share, I'm coming to you next. Artist Substance says, ego makes men and women miss out on great men and women. Fair enough. How do you differentiate between ego and confidence? Good point. MD Future says, me, myself, and I. The soul is ammunition and recorder of your life experience. Me is the soul identifying with another soul. Myself is the soul identifying with the body.
Yeah.
Megan Carter joined in as well. MD Future says,
The
I is the soul identifying with me. Sorry, let me read that again. The I is the soul identifying with the I. Okay. Ego is part of a personality. You have to have a soul to have a personality. Kaiser Sosa says, appreciate life, be content, love your parents, life is blessed. You won't even remember what word ego means after that. Nadia says, ego is all about having status, whereas soul is what who you are deep down. Your exit is what makes you beautiful. Stay real, stay pure, 100. Nadia also says, well done, Milan. You've got it. You got this, girl. Yeah, Milan that definitely does have this. So yeah, so if you are the student, we're talking about ego versus soul. Shea, what's your thoughts?
I'm glad you guys are still having this conversation. My Zoom decided to have like a nervous breakdown, so but yeah, it moved. So I think when it comes to soul and ego is a thing where you can have it in a healthy way and you can have it in an unhealthy way. And I feel like the unhealthy way of ego is, you know, being in competition with other people in a kind of like malicious way, or, you know, a materialistic way, and like not really being true to yourself. But a healthy ego can be, you know, just being in competition with yourself and making sure you push yourself further, and, you know, like helping others and being in touch with your soul at the same time. I think that's something which is a healthy ego. And it's important to differentiate between the two, because I feel like all of us have an ego, some kind, but, you know, there's levels to it. And at the end of the day, your soul is the most important thing, because, you know, it literally defines everything about you, from your family to the love you have in your heart, like literally everything. So yeah, I just think a lot of people should choose their soul over their ego, but, you know, the world's not like that, but I want it to be like that.
I want it to be like that as well. But what I think people fail to understand is that it's a lot of people don't grow in an environment that allows them to know this shit. You get what I'm saying? I'm 30.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not 30 yet. I'm almost 30. And man is only, not that I've always been kind of naturally leading with love, yeah? But consciously, it's not like, it's something that man had to learn. Do you know what I'm saying? Man had to learn this in order to have the ability to even be able to think like that. Do you know what I'm saying? And most people where man's from they don't learn that. They don't think like that. You know what I'm saying? They don't have the ability to think like that because their environment doesn't allow it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
I get
man
that 100%.
will rob someone and like do a move today and still go sit down with Nanny tomorrow and eat food. Like me, I couldn't do that. My soul wouldn't allow it. I wouldn't be able to go and look at someone, do something dirty to them, or take something from them, or hurt them, and go look at my nan and eat dinner. I would have to go back there. I would have to go back there at least a month later. Do you get what I'm saying? I wouldn't be able to sit across from her knowing that I just done a madness yesterday. Where a certain man is normal, that's life, bro. Man, not feel bad, and I'm not saying that they're wrong for that. I'm just saying that that's the environment that man growing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, doing badness isn't bad. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's why I was saying, like, when it comes to ego, there's different levels of it, and I completely understand, like, when you said about people grow up in different environments. Like me myself, I've grown up in different environments. Like I've lived in nice places, and I've lived in the hood. So, you know, I've experienced it all, but through it all, my soul, I've remained true to myself. And I think that's really important, because you can get lost in the world and, you know, what other people think or how other people perceive you. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, because, you know, your soul is the most important thing, and how you treat other people. And yeah, that's just how I see it anyway.
Right, let me read some of his messages. Donnie Darko gives a thumbs up. MD Future says, question, what makes us soul food? Why don't we have ego food? Because the soul creates life and emotions. Ego's acting in some emotions, mostly negative. Nadia says, yes, Shem, a passionate Aries with real soul. By the way, if I want to say Nadia, Nadia's our Welsh princess, who's supposed to be here today, who'll be back next week. I've got a quick question. You know, I think Cher and Ashley mentioned it about your environment, and Ashley talking about when he was going to school and stuff. Is that not just part of maturity? Because what Ashley said was that when he was in school, he acted a certain way. Chidi said, you know, Ashley got a bit older, her vibrations and stuff. Is that just part of maturity? In its simplest form?
I think it is in a way, but at the same time, like, you could be an old soul in a young body. You know what I mean? I felt like I've always been like that from a young age. Like, I've just been like an old soul as a child. So, you know, it really depends. But I feel like if you're immature at an age where you're grown, ego has to come into it somewhere. And, you know, you have the choice of whether you want to maintain it or you want to go more down the soul route and, you know, stick with what's within rather than what's outside of you.
Yeah, I agree too. I think ego versus soul is all about growth and all about maturity. I think it's a transition. I don't think anyone starts off as just in the soul realm. I don't think nobody started off just good or making no mistakes or not doing nothing bad. Yeah, I think everybody goes through the stage of building an ego first, because that's what you do when you step out, innit? Because when you're in a safe environment, you can be that. You can hug your mum, you can cry in your house. You get what I'm saying? Like, especially as a boy, innit? As a boy, you can be that baby at home in front of your mum, in front of your family and all of that. You get what I'm saying? But when you go outside now, there's not that sympathy for you. No one has that same sympathy for you. No one's gonna make sure that you're all right. No one's gonna cuddle you if you feel sad. None of that shit don't happen when you touch outside. So your ego has to defend you, innit? Your ego has to protect you. Your ego has to, until you built enough, until you are enough, until you feel enough yourself that you can face the world as who you are, innit? Because it's not just easy growing up as a child, having to go out and do things by yourself without having some type of that facade. You know what I'm saying? Or some type of character or some type of ego in order to you get me? In order to manage it, or in order to be able to withstand what's gonna come at you. Do you know what I'm saying? So I feel like ego to soul is a transition. And if you make that transition, then it's all good. But obviously not everybody gets to make that transition. You feel me? But I'm hoping and I'm trying to make that full transition from ego to soul. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
it's all a learning process. Like, literally for everybody, it's all a learning process. And, you know, using your soul, it's not so much about being perfect and, you know, having everything on point. It's more about knowing yourself, knowing who you are, and, you know, having morals, and literally just, it's just a spiritual thing where you treat others with so much love and you treat yourself with so much love that it overrides anything else, like materialistic stuff and just any like corruption going on in the world. It overrides all that. So yeah, it's never about being perfect because nobody is.
Oh, I love that. Let me read some messages quickly because we're going to have to restart the Insta shortly. Kaiser Soldier says, got to go. I pray God Almighty showers you all with nothing but love and peace and grant you all what you wish in life and keep up your families in good health. Amen. Now this is big up Kaiser. The original Marnie wanting to know in terms of ego versus soul, in what terms? MD Future says, the extremes of the soul, love and hate. The extremes of the ego, humble versus self-centered and horrible. Original Marnie says, how do I get on this? I'm in the mood for a debate. MD Future says, yes, Ash, perception. Actually, on that, I might have to restart the Insta because it's almost been an hour. You know what I'm saying? Everyone's looking at me like, what are you doing, Sticky? All right, so guys, if you're on the Insta Live, give us literally 60 seconds because Insta's about to cut out and we'll restart the Insta. So give us 60 seconds. Yeah, 60 seconds. If you're on the Insta Live, exactly. 60 seconds so we can restart the Insta.
Are we off Insta?
Yeah.
Kids,
30 seconds.
you are looking so cute. Like, honestly, as soon as I come on, I was like,
Fam, listen.
you're so cute.
Process the whole day. My arms are burning me. I had to take
No, literally, this whole hair up bit, like, you're so cute.
Everything was long, fam. Thank you so much, but everything was long.
No,
Trust me.
so
I got
cute, honestly.
Part 2 tomorrow, fam.
I'm girl crushing right now. Literally, like, every time someone talks, I'm just on your screen, like, ah. Girl crush Friday. No,
thank you.
so cute.
Thank you.
Thank you. And hi, Cher. Is she still here?
Yeah.
Hi.
Are you there? I need to
Hi,
get
boys. Hi, boys. Hi.
I am sick. All right.
Why so enthusiastic, girls?
Girl power.
Come on, girl power. Look how cute she's looking. Come on.
Nah, she's looking buff still. Looking buff. Then she came on the live, tried to get her naturals out. Yeah. I see you. Tried to get the naturals out.
Ash, she's got all out yet though. She hasn't got it all out yet. We're still waiting.
Are you ready for that yet?
No, I am. I'm ready.
Why? You have money? No.
You have money.
Raw.
Bricks, fam, bricks.
Hey.
Bricks.
So guys, do you want to continue with ego versus soul?
Yeah, Ashley, do you want to summarize it? Do you want to wrap up the ego versus soul up? I loved what you said. I loved what everyone said.
What did you love about what I said particularly? Because you know, like, obviously, I haven't done much ego stroking in a while. So let's. What was it? What was it that I specifically said that you liked?
I just like the fact that you just acknowledged that love is the answer. Because we know your ego.
Yeah.
But your ego is healthy. You've got a healthy ego. Annoying, but it's healthy.
I got a big ego.
Yeah. Really big ego.
It's not on purpose, though. It's not on purpose.
No, but I love your acknowledgement and I love your growth. Scare me. I'm putting that up there. I'm not even bathing you up this week.
You know what it is, yeah? For me, yeah, it's not an embarrassing thing and it's not a shameful thing because man come from an egotistical world, fam. Yeah, where it doesn't really matter, fam. No no one judges you for being egotistical, fam. No one hates you for it, because everyone that man knows is egotistical, bruv. Like, the people with the biggest egos pretend to be the happiest where I'm from. You know what I mean?
We need to get a new
You know what I'm saying? So no one cusses you for it. No one hates you for it.
No,
You know
but you know what? This is what it is, and because your vibration, because you're raising in vibration and you're leveling up in frequency, you will come across people, you will meet people, you get me, and they will tell you about yourself. But it's in a healthy way, and it's in a beautiful way, and I think you can feed your soul. Same way you fed the souls of, you know, your youngers, you will have people who will come to you now, and they will show you soul. They will present themselves to you in a soul way, and it will make you think. It's going to make you think naturally. That's what happens as human beings. It happens as we're leveling up. Do you get me?
You know what? You know what? I always I don't forget it, but I just don't talk about it much. Yeah. My experience working in a hospital, that is probably what's changed me the most. I say it's like other things, but obviously I had to have changed in order to even want to work in that kind of environment, or to be even able to work in that environment and do well. Do you know what I'm saying? But I feel like working in that environment let me drop the ego more than anything. Because me, I used to go out with my guys a lot. I'm talking about guys with like the clearest mental health issues. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we used to do road. We used to go anywhere. Like, we've been everywhere in London. Every museum. We've been been a Wonderland. We've been Chesington. We've been like London Zoo. We've been literally everywhere in London that you could go. London Eye, Namco, everywhere. Yeah, and like, for me, I never felt embarrassed once. I never felt like away with them. Even when people are looking at me mad, I'm looking at them like, oh, get me, that's the man them. Like, what? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because for me, I wanted the man them to be with me. Because I've already felt like, in the environment where I was, I felt like a misfit when I first got there. Do you get me? I felt like the odd one out. Do you get me? Because there's no one like man that was there. At first, I worked there with one of my brethren, innit? And when it was me and him there, it was sick. It was like being at school. You get me? Two of us just running around, just taking the piss. You get me? But when he left, it got serious and became like a work environment because there was no friends there. Do you know what I'm saying? But it allowed me to really adapt and become professional. Do you know what I'm saying? So whenever I used to go do road with the man them, I never felt any kind of way. I always felt like protecting their integrity. Do you know what I'm saying? More than me feeling embarrassed or anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, and there was one experience that tested me the most. There was one brother, and this brother, like, he was difficult. This man would sit on the floor. We'd be on the road, he would sit on the floor outside, like, you kept me, like, sit in the dirt and that, just to take the piss, just to see what he would do. Like, and one time I thought, fuck it, let's go. Went out with him, and he sat on the floor outside the tube station, just sat on the floor. And me had to sat there with him, you get me? And he's looking at me thinking, "Well, what, you got to really sit?" I'm thinking, "I don't give a fuck. This is my work clothes, first of all." You get me? Like, sat on the floor with him, you get me? Rolled up a little roll up, sat there, smoked the roll up with him, you get me? Cash. But those are the kind of things that like allowed man to really like let go of the ego thing and realize how cheap it is and how worthless it is. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, it literally just blocks you from being who you are. It blocks you from connecting with people. It blocks you from helping other people. Do you get what I'm saying? It blocks you from seeing things for what they really are. Do you know what I mean? So if that's a good summary, that's my summary. Yeah. Yeah.
I like that. And let me some of the messages. MD Feature says, "It never heard of some soul stroking." I don't get that one. MD Features also says, "Love you guys." Nadia says, "Ego often sends out negative messages. Tap into your soul gut instinct and do what you do with love. Do more for you. Meditate, exercise, listen to music, etc." The original Marnie says, "This boy needs to go on BBC News, LOL." I think she's talking about you, bro. I'm going to think of myself, but I think she's talking about you.
Ego.
Nadia says, "Yes, Ash, you can't take any of that shit with you, 100%. Donnie Darko laughs. Mayday Carter says, The ego's main goals is self-preservation. The soul knows we are all one and that love and stillness is key. And Donnie Darko says trust.
I love that person.
Oh, Mayday Carton.
Yeah.
That's actually my best friend.
Yeah.
And Donnie Darko says 100%. You hear that, Mayday? Chili loves you.
Amazing.
I love Chili, though.
We all love Chili. We all love Chili.
But the small island girl, she's my favourite. She was in my DMs during the week.
100%.
Listen, bruv, you're moving like August right now, Pete.
Oi, wait, before I forget. Jada Pinkett admitted it.
I saw it. I watched it just now.
She admitted that her and August were a thing. And she's on a Red Table Talk, and Will Smith with her.
Yeah, I felt sorry for Will Frat. The whole thing still, he's sitting there like.
Nah, but I don't feel sorry for him.
Don't
feel sorry for him. You know what he's been up to. You know what he's been up to.
Welcome to Miami.
That's what I'm saying.
Listen. It's not alright. It's not alright. But what you see that the person was talking about meditating and yeah, that was a good bridge for our next topic, which is physical well-being and mental well-being. What does it mean to you?
This is what it means to me.
I'll tell you what it means to me. Here we go. Listen, it means a lot, actually. It means a lot, yeah? To be honest, yeah, because obviously I worked in a mental health environment, I learned a lot about mental health. Do you get what I'm saying? And I realized how important it is to take care of yourself and to do things that make you happy and to be in an environment that's calming and to do things to make your mind strong. Do you get what I'm saying? I never realized how important it was because I thought that I was just like mentally unbreakable. That's what I used to think. I swear down. I swear I was like, me, nothing can break me, man. I don't even have emotions. You get me? I don't even have emotions. I don't feel. I got an icebox where my heart used to. That's what I used to think. Until man learned differently. And then yeah, I had to rebuild up my team. You get me? And then I realized, like, you know what it is? We used to do something called mindfulness and relaxation, yeah? And it was just literally someone reading a script, yeah? And you're just sitting there and you close your eyes and they read the script and they tell you where you're going. They say you're floating on a cloud. And then you can hear this ambient music in the background. I used to love that. But the only problem is I couldn't do it too much because I used to fall asleep like every time. I swear down, like, trust me, you will fall asleep, man. You're sitting on a beanbag and someone's reading a script to you, telling you to imagine all of this stuff. Like, it's so nice, you know what I mean? But yeah, I think it's very important to do things to make sure that your mental state is good.
So for anyone listening in and everyone on the live, Cher, my cousin, she's created her own platform and it's called Mind Body Soul UK. At Mind Body Soul UK, go follow that. And for me, obviously meditation is a really big part of my life. It's been everything. It's been my antidepressant. It's been it's helped to make me the person that I am. It's helped me to see things differently, look at life differently. Because I used to be a very, very negative person. I always just used to look for the worst in things because I thought if I look for the worst in things and I focused on the negativity, then when it came, at least I was ready for it. But obviously I started learning about the law of attraction. I practice mindfulness on a daily basis. I get up in the morning, I say my affirmations. If I wake up in a negative mood or with negative thoughts on my mind, I will replace those negative thoughts with 3 positives, because it's so easy to find negative things, whereas when we have to look for the positive, we really have to think about it. So I've trained my mind in that way. So mindset is a big thing for me. And I also attend a Buddhist center. I'm not a Buddhist, but I really believe in what they put out there, and they're very accepting of anyone from any walk of life. They're non-judgmental, and it's a beautiful thing. And that's what I use. And on Cher's page, My Body Soul UK, she asked me, when she first started that page, she asked me to share my story. And I went and looked at the page, and honest to God, yeah, beautiful page. On a daily, she puts affirmations for mental health, affirmations for loving yourself. You get me? It's such a beautiful page. So I just wanted to put that out there. And I just think that, you know, as human beings, life is very fast, and the pace of everything is just this constant. It's always going. But the secret is, for me, is you have to quiet the mind. Just be still. Like, anyone who knows me knows they could be chilling around me all of a sudden. I'll stop. I'll just sat there in the middle of the floor. Actually, you've experienced it. I was sat there in the middle of the floor, just gone, zoned out, meditating, and people are like, "What are you doing?" But it's because sometimes you have to. Do you get me? You really do have to quiet the mind, because the mind is loud and everything gets really, really busy. So sometimes you just have to shut off, and that's my way of dealing with it. But I know in regards to mental health, Cher has done so much. I'm so proud of you, Cher. Well, she's worked for the NHS. She's been a spokesperson for them. She's done adverts. It's just so beautiful. So I really want Cher to share her story on mental health and like coping mechanisms and stuff. So yeah, Cher, talk the thing, my girl.
Oh, that was so beautiful, man. That really touched me. Thank you, cuz. So yeah, I feel like mental health is a big thing, and you know, I feel like everybody, whether you have good mental health or bad mental health, like we should all take care of ourselves and make sure that, you know, our minds are good. For me personally, what helps me is meditation, and prayer, and exercise, keeping creative, and also helping other people as well. Like, it seems like such a cliche thing to say, but it actually goes so far. Like, when you help other people, it makes you feel good as well. So I just think that's really a thing that is underrated. And you know, it's just such a beautiful thing when you can help people and they feel like they can open up to you. You know, I just feel that's amazing. And another important thing is like protecting your energy. You know, because a lot of the time I've been in a good place, and then all of a sudden the energy feels off to me, and I'm like, why do I feel like this? But it's because of the energy, you know, that you're surrounding yourself with. You really need to protect your energy and make sure that, you know, your mind is good, and people are not putting things in your mind which are poisonous, because that there is dangerous. But yeah, my mental health platform is, as Chidi said, Mind Body Soul _UK. If anyone wants to follow it, feel free. If you want to share your story as well. But yeah, I just feel like when it comes to the physical side of things as well, like taking care of your body, you know, exercising and just being healthy. I'm not healthy all the time. I love my junk food, but you know, eating healthy as well, like just having a balance with it really helps. And sea moss is really good as well. Sea moss jelly is really good.
Oh, I love that. Let me read some of the messages quickly. Mayday Carter laughs and hands up, I think, at Chidi's comment when she said that she loved him. Nadia says, Sticky's at it again. Come on. MD Future says, sorry, it was late after. You said I could do with some ego stroking, and my reply was, I've never heard of soul stroking. The phrasing surrounding the ego and the soul, it's hard to replace the words. We're talking about when Ash was saying that he needs ego stroking. Artist Substance laughs. MD Future says, I'm dead, but I agree with Ash. Nadia says, I rely on meditation, music to switch off and sleep. MD Future says, Will do you think talking about Shear's platform, which was Mind, Body and Soul UK? Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Nadia says, also check out on Instagram, Breathe It All In, Love It All Out, which if you don't know is Chili's page. Mayday Carter says, meditation will change your life. It's the life hack to slow things down. Nadia says, mind, body, soul, _ mind, body, soul, _ UK. I'm not sure what that one is. Mayday Carter says, they say if you don't have 15-20 minutes to meditate a day, you need 2 hours. I'm not sure if some of you have heard that before. If you don't have 15-20 minutes, that means you need 2 hours. MD Future says, go share. Nadia says, mind, body, soul, _ UK. All right, fine. And MD Future says, over 65% of the UK suffers with mental health. Milan, we haven't heard from you in a little while. I didn't say, I must say, I'm not sure if you guys can see, Milan is very top heavy.
Top heavy, I love it. Boobies.
We love it.
Love them.
Milan, what's your views on this one?
I ain't saying shit.
You need to go meditate for 20 minutes.
It's all love. It's all love. It's all fun. It's all banter.
What was the topic? Like meditation and
your mental
health. What
mental health. So I feel like I'm a bit like Ashley. Before, I was like, nothing can break me. I don't feel nothing. Like, I don't cry. It is what it is, isn't it? Like, if something bad's happening, then something's bad happening. If something's good happening, then what? I'm on a winner. But you see, like, in this furlough thing, I wasn't on furlough. During this COVID pandemic, whatever the bloody hell it's called, being in my workplace, we had to change the way that we was like trading in my store, and to see some of the older people having to adapt to that change, it was a lot. And for me, it was like all we've done was put the till at the door and people aren't allowed in. For me, it was like nothing. I carried on. I was running around and but when I turned around and I can look at everybody else, they really struggled with it. And I never sort of understood why, because I'm like, we're still the same store, we're still the same people. All we're doing is not allowing people in the store. But like mentally, for people who have been in a job for a long time, they couldn't adjust. So but when people talk about like mental health, it's not just an ongoing long-term thing that's happening. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, you can talk about like depression and stuff like that, or PTSD. It's not just that. It's not. It can be literally one situation on one day, and then that's it. You feel like your whole world is crashing around you, and you don't know how to stop it, and you're falling. You're trying to hold it up, and it's just not working. That's mental. And a lot of people don't want to admit, do you know what? I don't think anyone wants to admit that they have like mental health issues because of the stigma that is attached to it. Because as soon as you say like mental health, everyone's like, you know, in a padded cell and you're strapped up and you're bouncing around the room and you're rolling around and you're getting stuff pumped into you. That's automatically what you think. Whether you want to or not, that's what comes in your mind. And you're like, I ain't got mental health issues. What are you talking about? but then you'll be snappy, or you can't at night. Your head touches the pillow at like 10:30. At 3:30 in the morning, you're still up, tossing and turning, rolling around, checking your phone. Yeah, because you've got so much going on in your mind, and just because it's in your mind and it's a mental thing, do you know what I mean? It's not necessarily an illness. It's just things that you need to sit down, calm down, put a stopper on things and fix what's going wrong. Because once you can fix, because it could be the smallest thing, once you fix that smallest thing, you'll then realize that everything else goes into place. And then you're like, oh, do you know what I mean? So for me, to explain to people, like, mental health is not an ongoing issue that you've had since you was 12 because this happened when you was in school. It can be a split of the moment thing, and you can't deal with it in your mind. It's the same thing.
Yeah, you made some very good points there, and that's the reason why it's important to look and make sure that you're taking care of your mental health and as well as your physical health. So as much as people go to the gym and run and jog and turn vegan and eat vegetarian and you get me, all of those good things for your physical health, it's just as important to do a certain number of things for your mental health as well, whether it be meditation, whether it be taking walks to the lake, because obviously we don't have lakes like what you lot got down in Wales, you get me? When I saw that lake down there, I said, this is mad. Like, if I had this, I'll be here every day, bro. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, certain things that you know, like, just literally just for your soul, just to make you, just things that just make you happy. You don't gain anything other than joy from it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's mental exercise. That's mental stimulation. You know what I'm saying? And those are the reasons why it's important to do that. It'll help you be able to deal with rapid change and certain things that you might, like, I feel like if I hadn't started doing certain things like meditating or, you know, like just zoning out and listening to certain frequencies and stuff like that, yeah, if I hadn't done that, I think at this point, considering what's happening, I would have been a different person now. Like, I would have reacted different to a lot of the things that's going on. Do you get what I'm saying? But it's allowed me to be like, take a second, literally. I get like what it means when people say like slow things down. Like, if I hadn't been doing all of these things mentally for myself, I would have reacted straight away. I would have reacted quickly and overreacted. But it's allowed me to literally take a second, think about it, analyze it, not take it so personal. You get what I'm saying? Even when I have taken things personal, it's only been for the day. Do you get what I'm saying? It's only been for the moment. It's not like something that's literally like been able to consume me or take over. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's because of the mental training that I've been doing. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely love that. Let me read some of the messages quickly. Then we head over to Chidi. You know what? I haven't said that. Before I read the messages, Chid's looking lovely today. Chids. Yeah, darling. Anyway.
No. Wait. Pause.
You have to say, yeah.
Pause.
Acknowledge.
Are you trying to cut my lines? Trying to cut my bars?
No.
Are you trying to cut my bars? Because I was saying that I'm girl crushing on Chidi right now.
I think he's copying, fam.
Yeah, but you're girl crushing.
I'm girl crushing.
That's girl on girl, though. And she's gone.
Shit.
She's gone. Anyway, me some messages. MD Feature says nutritional imbalances can cause mental health problems. Mayday Carter says behave fingers. Talking about me and Milan and Chidi. Nadia says stick you through Milan right off. Naughty boy. MD Feature says 95% of human self-talk is negative. Someone says, hey, Nad. MD Feature says, people feel happy to the exact degree they feel they are in control of their lives. Nadia says, we are blessed to have beautiful places to visit in Wales, luscious greenery and beaches. Mayday Carter says, there's loads of lakes in London, by the way, if that's where you're from. MD Future says the greatest happiness is self-happiness, and the greatest unhappiness is self-unhappiness. Cheers, what are you saying? Empress.
I don't know. I'm just so random all the left tonight. You get me? It's beautiful. I love it. Thank you so much. Get me? I'm stroking my ego. But no, like on a serious level, there are loads of beautiful places in London. You just gotta go and find them. Trust me, beautiful places. Physical health. It's been a myth for me still. Yeah, in regards to physical health, I think when I was at the worst point in my life, was like I was really overweight in it. Like I was like 28 stone and my heaviest and all that. But I was still the same place and still like happy to a point. But obviously, I knew in my mind that things weren't right. Do you get me? It wasn't good for my health. And cut a long story short, there was just one day I was going up the stairs and I just thought to myself, rah, like I looked in the mirror and I didn't recognize who was looking back at me, and then I just thought, no, this is not it. And then I looked at my child and I thought, no, I want to be around for her, to see her grow and all those things. And it was like, it was just little triggers. And then I just started changing. I started with my mindset first, because I think your mindset, and the state of mind is very important for anything that you have to do in life. If your mind's not right, everything else is just going to go left. So I had to focus on my mind first. So I sorted my mind out, and I'm still sorting my mind out. We're all doing it on a daily basis. And I pushed myself mentally so that I could tackle the physical. And I started swimming. I started just doing things that I just had never done before. And I just realized the happiness that I felt from it. It was insane. It was like this big release of all these beautiful hormones and all these beautiful endorphins. It was magical. But then at the same time, we have to be really careful. I always say to people, as much as I felt amazing from it, we have to be really careful about what we focus on, because then I went too in on myself and I became very obsessed with, oh my God, I have to exercise. And then I was exercising 4 times a day. My meals were like this big, do you get me? And it became like a way of control. And then when I looked at it, I thought, okay, so it's control that I want. So I realized that I wasn't really fully in control of my mind. I just used the physical aspect of it to gain control. So then I had to sit myself back again and dig a little bit deeper. And that's where the mindset came in. And that's where meditation really started to play a big part in my life. And about, I'm thinking about the law of attraction and thinking about what you think you become and all those things. So it was just like mindset training for me. I did this thing called timeline therapy, where I went right back and I sort of looked over my childhood, looked at where the bad habits started, why I had a really bad relationship with food, those kind of things. But it wasn't necessarily my relationship with food, because I love my food. I probably eat more now than I did when I was big, do you get me? But it was the relationship with myself. That's what it was. And because I was running away from my own mind, and then I let outer energies come in and influence me. And this is the power of words. Words are spells. I always say that to people, because sometimes, we might have, when you develop a fear of something and we don't know where that fear has come from? It could be something, that's been said to you throughout your life. It could be something when you were inside your mum was carrying you could have heard that. Do you get me? And that's just resonated in your subconscious. And then throughout your life, certain things will come about and you'll think, why is this happening? But if you really dig deep into yourself, you'll always find the answer. So I really started working on my mindset. And then I realized, if you have a healthy balance with your mindset, the physical, the friendships, relationships, everything, then life is never going to be perfect, because perfect doesn't exist. But you can always find a balance, and that's what it's about. Balance is key in this game, do you get me? In this thing we call life, because life is a beautiful struggle. But We have to keep going. We have to keep pushing. When times get rough, we have to try and dig deep and look at the positives. And if there's no positives to find, just know that everything is temporary. Nothing, I always say to my daughter, yeah, nothing lasts forever, and forever, it never lasts. So it's like, what might be happening today, is that going to matter tomorrow? Is it going to matter in a week's time? Is it going to matter in a year's time? The answer is probably always going to be no. Do you get me? Even if it's an illness, it's not going to matter at some point, because you're either going to die or you're going to survive from it. There's always a straightforward answer. But I think as human beings, we make things more difficult for ourselves by the way that we think. So it's about brain training. It's about mental health training. Do you get me? We have to take care of our mental health before we're going to do anything in life. And that's my little take on that.
Absolutely love that. For those of you who don't know, the Instagram to follow is Breathe It All In, Love It All Out. Is that correct?
Yeah, tonight. It's correct, man. You lot are gassing me up, you know.
Yeah, that's a page that I follow personally as well. You might see me like make a few comments.
Sticky been following me for days.
Exactly.
Like everything he said. Like,
Oh.
it was just so.
Well, sure, you got to to this Instagram as well. Mind, body,
soul _UK.
Right. So for those that didn't get it, Mind, Body, Soul _UK on Instagram.
Sticky, what about you?
What about me?
Come on, man. You don't really talk much. Obviously, you're the little DJ and all that. You get me? But we want to hear about you. What about
No, remember
you?
he had his chat. He was talking numbers and mortgages and assets and stacking up. He's done his time now. Let him read the comments and let us chat in it.
Speaking of comments, let me read some of the comments. Nadia says, what does physical and mental self-care mean to you? To him. Also says, love this Chid. Focus on you. Everything is temporary. Ride the wave. The storm won't last. Milan, what are you saying? What are you saying to us? You went away and came back.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. No, but... oh, you start me off. We still talk about the same thing, yeah, like mindset, mentality. Sticky, stop laughing at me. Honestly, put me off. Very unprofessional. So, like what Chiggy was saying, you can't just work on one thing. You can work on one thing at a time, but you can't just work on one thing. You can't work on your mind and just expect everything else to catch up. You can't just work on your body and then expect your mind to know what you're doing, and because your mind, although it's your mind and your mind is telling you, okay, cool, I'm moving my right hand now, and your mind is not catching up with what you're doing. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to be in tune with every part of your self, your inner self and your outer self and your outer bubble, and you need to be in connection with all of that. And once, like I said before, once you start piecing that one little thing that's like in the back of your mind and it's niggling away, once you start working on that, and then you start working on other things around you, the world around you in that general, it just becomes a better place because of the energy that you're putting out. You're then naturally like gravitating things coming like towards you. So if you're working on yourself truly and you believe in it and you're being positive, obviously all of us will have a negative day. All of us will have that one day when we're like, you know what, fuck this shit, I'm gonna drink a bottle of Ray, I'm gonna smoke a fucking spliff, and then I'm gonna go skin out, and when I come home I ain't gonna think about it. Do you get it? No one can judge me because I'm gonna go and do this because I've had enough. Do you get it? Everybody has that day. Even as a guy, cool, fuck it, I'm gonna just call up this girl that I've been avoiding, that I've all blocked her, but I'm gonna now unblock her and say, yo, what are you saying, beautiful? Do you know what I mean? Everybody has that day. But actually, I see. Do you know what I mean? But you need to have a down day because everything can't be positive, because something has to knock you down to make you then realise, oh, hold on. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is a reality and this is life. So, guys, stop laughing at me. I'm getting on my spiritual shit,
Your
man.
guys in now. Your guys in. Your guys in. Listen, I'm giving you a round of applause right now.
Thank you. I'm learning, guys. I'm learning. I'm maturing. I'm maturing.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie. I'm watching you grow before my eyes.
I know. But yeah, just obviously, just work on everything, innit? And do it at your own pace. Don't try to, if your group of friends, for instance, for argument's sake, your true friends, you've got like 5 of them. If all 4 of them are now elevating and they're so high, don't ever look at you and think, why aren't I up there yet? Why? Because it's your own personal journey. You take your time and you get there, because you will get there in the end. You will. And that's all I got to say on that. No.
Milan,
That's right. That's right.
Millie, you smashed it tonight. I don't
That's
care.
right.
Girl free.
Yes, I can.
Right, let me even tell you guys now, yeah? All this week in the group chat, I haven't opened it. I had 101 messages tonight I had to read before I came on this chat, because I've been at work and my life has been busy. I could have said today, do you know what? Guy, I haven't researched, I'm not into, no. Still here, because I'm on my personal journey and I'm learning. You will see from when I was in the first live over there, how many weeks ago to here, I've grew. Do you know what I mean? And it's my own little personal journey. Thank you. Yeah.
Come on. Yes, Melena.
Wait, can I ask though? Can I ask a question? You know, she talked about there's a certain day that she's gonna skin out and all that. Yeah. Share.
It's coming.
Share. When's that day gonna be?
Saturday for sure. She's a Saturday girl. She left his skin out on a Saturday, innit, Shay?
Well, she's sipping the Magnum
Look
now.
at shit, all innocent.
She's sipping the Magnum right now.
She's getting ready for tomorrow's step. She's gonna holler you and be like, yo, see, I got 2 Magnum.
Double up.
And the Ray, yeah?
You lot, man.
Sorry,
You saying
Shay.
shit? Tomorrow, yeah?
Sorry, Kez. She's not saying nothing though. She's not saying no.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
She is, see, and because she's a strong individual, she's not letting us draw her out. Do you get it? You see, everyone listening, she is not letting us draw her out, because she's like, no, do you know what? Let them say what they're saying, because I know me.
She's
and
smart.
I know that in secret tomorrow, I'll be skinning out, back in my
She's
bottom
not.
way. There.
She's not that smart though, you know. She's not that smart. Let me tell you why she's not that smart, because I'm a big cousin, innit? Y'all, I'm a big cousin. I know I know.
So you a bad influence, huh?
I am. She don't want to follow me.
Where are we going tomorrow?
Hotel. Hey,
What?
come
Hilton.
Straight to the telly.
Porsche.
Nah. I think you gotta spend some money first, blood. You better take a shower, dude.
That's just on a small island.
Hey,
Patty.
Yeah.
Patty and cocoa bread.
Hey, you said Patty, you know.
Yeah, I said.
God, man.
She wants the filet mignon.
No, I ain't got that sort of money. My bank account is set up like that.
You
Yeah,
better
Patty and cocoa bread and a ting.
Remember, he's putting all of his money into a separate account so he can get his mortgage. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
He ain't got no spare cash right now. He's paying off his mortgage and the loan from the government.
Sticky owes me.
I don't need your money.
I've been saying from the first live, I've been saying before that, yeah. Anyone who knows me and Sticky's relationship, Sticky owes me noodles. Like I have
Some noodles, yeah?
I don't know how long ago now. Every time I've been in London, Manny brought me noodles.
What did Cher say ting was her favourite drink?
Yeah.
Sure.
Look at him, you remembered. That's why he said he's getting you patty cocoa bread in a tin.
Yeah.
Come on.
Hey, but
My
cousin
brother. Look at him.
Keep it in the family, innit?
The details, you know.
cousin-in-law.
What's her favourite patty, though? Those sticky.
Yeah, she said.
Sorry, cuz. Now, do you know what? Actually, Sticky, yeah. Let me tell you, yeah. See, that's my cousin. Sticky, don't make me come for you, innit? I'm gonna have to beat you up, Stick. It's gonna have to happen. Sorry.
I've done tell you already. I'm ready for you.
Wait. Can I just make a statement here now?
Go on, babe.
So, you know how like things are starting to open up now. You know, nail shops, gyms, barbers. Okay. What?
She made man turn his camera off, you know. She leave it live.
Leave it, yeah? She said that.
Siggy, it's all love. It's all love. Sometimes you gotta take it back.
You know what? We're going natural. All natural, innit? Innit, Chids? We're going natural. What does Inyari say? I am not my hair.
Okay, we're going for the all natural.
There you go, I am not my hair.
I know, I like that.
I love how Milan got Sticky though. She got it.
Wicked, fam.
Come back.
Wow, Milan is on smoke today.
See my aura around me right now. It's just like power.
Yo,
actually, check this.
Fire.
Ash, check this. You see, like when it gets to like 12:30, and I get that message, "Hey, big head." You know what time it is, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it could be. It could. You got options now, B.
That's what I'm saying.
Mac Daddy now. You Mac Daddy stick.
Like I ain't skinning out this weekend, so that won't be from me. I've been working on myself. Alright, what's the next topic?
No, we done. That's the last topic we don't have today.
We haven't got a next topic, but we might as well take it to 12 at least. We've got 10 minutes.
Wow.
What are you saying? Back to Jada.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't mind talking about that. Listen, mate.
Well, she admitted it. She said that, yeah.
Milan on the live's been doing a lot today. You know what I'm saying? She get me. She's kind of been on fire today. You get
fire.
I think if we were giving out points, I'll give you 10 points. You get me?
Oh, thank you.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
No, with this August thing, I need to watch Jada's interview to see.
Oh, yeah, watch it.
Nah, I've been at work. I finished
yeah.
I was at work since 11:30 until 8 o'clock tonight. I came home, I showered, I backed noodles, and I was on the live.
I watched it, yeah. I just watched it, so it's kind of fresh. I think it kind of explained it. It made it not seem as sinister as it seemed before. Basically, what she was saying was like, yeah, she basically, he was sick at first. He had mental health issues and physical health issues. He was just not well, and they kind of brought him in it, yeah. And they kind of helped, nurtured him, brought him back to health, gave him love and all of that kind of stuff. You get me? Just as like a family support system. Then her and Will broke up. Then she started linking. You get it? You know, like that. She built him up to be the man that she wanted. You get me? You know, like that. So she started linking him when she broke up with Will. And yeah, they were doing their thing. You get me? Obviously, she got back with Will, and obviously my man was like kind of heartbroken and just cut. You get me? And then they just cut ties after that. You get me? Which is like a kind of like I don't understand that kind of situation. She obviously in what she said is that she never thought that her and Will were gonna get back together. Well, obviously they got a family and they got years of marriage in it, so they reconciled. What's the word? Reconciled. Yeah, reconciled, and then the young boy got left heartbroken, and that was that. You get me? So I don't really yeah. So I kind of get where they're coming from. So if I was that Will, he get me. He seemed a bit like uncomfortable, but at the same time, they want to push the narrative that we totally worked together when it happened. So yeah.
The thing is, they're just human beings, you know. And we obviously, because they're in the limelight, there's going to be so many things flying around. But these things happen. I mean,
The thing is, whether they agreed it or not, or that they was apart or not, Will is always going to feel a type of way, because it's for like any guy or girl. If your baby mom or baby father, if you're apart, yeah, you don't like them, you're not talking to them. But then if you find out that your baby father or your baby mom is fucking someone else, you're like, whoa, what do you mean? Because you didn't. It's not that you didn't expect it, but in your mind, that's my baby mom or that's my baby father. Do you know what I mean? So he will always feel like a bit uncomfortable if they're talking about it, because it's not something that you then talk about. Do you know what I mean? That if you break up, if you and your baby mom or baby father, if you break up and then you get back together, you don't, you know, sit down and then say, right, since we've been apart, I fucked, and I've done, with do you know what I mean? It's just not something that you do. You iron out your issues as a couple, you get back together and you move on. Do you know what I mean? And everything else that happened is just over there. So obviously now it's in the media and he's having to hear about it and people talking about it, hearing other people's opinions, because that's the worst. Because as a couple, you can be as strong as you think you are. But when other people's, because you as a couple think, do you know what? It's okay if she did that or he did this, because I'm taking that person back and that's on me. When you start hearing other people's opinions, it puts like doubt in your mind, like, should I have took them back? But it's like, hold on, you with your whole heart knew they did that and you took them back, so why are you letting other people influence you? Do you know what I mean? So again, it's just they're adults. He will always feel uncomfortable when they're talking about it, but as adults and as the people they are, I think that, you know, they'll get over it. They're together and it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? It's no one's life choices but their own. It's not mine. It's not like yours. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I just think he's very like August is very. He's been through so much. I don't know if any of you have watched his documentary series, but that guy's been through so much. So I think she kind of messed with the wrong guy, because he's just so broken. Like, he just seems so vulnerable, and yeah, it's just wild. But a lot of people are in open relationships and they don't even know.
You said it.
I think all that open relationship thing, I don't know, innit? I just think if you're going to unite with somebody on that level, you just like to keep it open and say, yeah, you can just go and do your thing. I don't think it ever works. You get me? Just get all that out of your system before you commit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Single.
When you watch the documentary, the one actually talking about, it almost said they said they'd broken up. So I think they even said they'd broken up, but they were still married, hence why they were seeing other people. Because although Will doesn't say he slept with other people, you read in between the lines, they kind of admit it. So yeah, I mean, so it's a good watch. It's only like 12 minutes long. So after the live, if you haven't watched it, watch it. Watch the memes tomorrow. I'll be part of it.
Sticky, you love it, mate. You love it.
He loves the gossip, doesn't he?
He loves the mix up, rude boy.
Yeah, love it.
Ooh, she cheated.
So, guys, it's almost been 2 hours. Release 365 says, you lot ain't been barbers yet. And shout out to the Truuu Talk podcast.
Bow. Shout out, Reddy, my bro. Love every single time, family.
Barbers soon, I think.
Big up MD Future. You already know, my brother. Thank you for coming by and sharing your opinion and talking your talk. You get me? Love my guy.
Big up Nadia. She couldn't do it with us today, but she was in the comments doing her thing. We missed it. But she's back next week.
Carter. You get me? Come on.
Substance, big up Substance each and every time.
Big up the small islands. Share.
Come on. And
Chicky Batty, Cogger Bread, and Ting. Yeah.
Pick up my shoulders because they're hurting from the wash day.
And big up Chili looking $1,000,000. Come on the show looking laying up, buttoning up the
Yeah. Girl crushing.
Honestly, like I swear to God, yeah. Do you know this? If anyone would have seen me this morning, yeah, it was. Did I video call you? I video called you, innit? I was in a state one night. Yeah, let's just leave it there, didn't it? It was a mess, hot mess. I was on the screen going, bro, oh my God. Mash up, I was so drunk. Fully, bad.
Breathe it all in, love it all out.
It was all there.
Breathe it all in. All right, first, 1 second, guys. Can we quickly just breathe it all in?
Picture. Selfie.
And now let's love it all out.
Hey.
That was good.
I need a selfie though, because.
All right, let's do one selfie before we cut.
Right, cool.
Let me get my good side.
I don't know what my good side is.
Let me get the cure out. Look at that pizza. Look at my shrinkages. They're life out. Right there. That's sort of the pro. Right there. Sticky, you need to hang on. Step, you need to come in. Do it again. One more time.
I'm changing up the pose. Hey.
Hey, done that. God,
Really?
what do you want to do? Go on, one more time. I mixed up. Go on, do it again. One more time.
I'm drowning myself here.
Sorry, one more time.
Really, 365 says, night all, try to be earlier next time.
Be on time, Bradley, man. You always late.
You know me working.
You lot don't even get it. I finish work at 8 o'clock, but just because I finish work, we lock up by about 8:30. By the time I then get the bus home, and then I shower, and then I eat noodles quickly or toast, yeah? It's all 10 past 10 and I've already started.
Don't worry, Baba. Soon make you retire, yeah? Yeah?
We all are, because we're all going to chip in for the mortgage, and we're all going to buy that one house. Share one room and one bed, one rolled over and the other one's dead.
You should come on at 10 with your food.
I ain't gonna say no shit.
Come on at 10 o'clock with your food, with your toasted noodles. Chili will be happy with the noodles, so it's all good.
I don't want to talk about noodles. I don't even like them enough now.
So guys, until next week.
Peace
next
out.
week, Friday, 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
Love you guys.
Love it all in. Love it all out.
Love you guys.
Love you all.
Hey.
Good.
Bye, guys.
Have a good weekend.
Bye.
That's been the Truuu Talk Podcast, y'all.
Sarah.
Y'all been great.